We are all equal. It's time that we're all heard. Hello, thank you so much for tuning into A Voice for All. I am your host, Jahmeelah, and I thank you all for your continued support, your great messages, your emails, your tweets that you send me. And speaking of tweets, if at any point you'd like to send me a message on Twitter, email me, you could join the Jam Fam. Lots of great resources, like I tell you guys every week, and upcoming community events, so be sure to join the information below. My guest today is pretty much a Brampton sensation. If you are a cupcake fan and you have yet to enjoy Mary's Cupcakes, you're missing out. So my guest today is Mary Yuso from Christina's Tortina's Cupcake. Tell me about what you're doing. I've heard so many good things, and I know there's lots of people who are really excited that you're on the show, so please share your story with us.
Well, from day one.
Sure, let's go day one.
Sure. Christina was born, she's actually a serendipity. We've named a cupcake after her. She was born 5 years ago, and it was at that time that we were told that she has Down syndrome, not knowing anything about it.
Yep.
I did my own research. Research wasn't too positive. I started noticing that I needed to stop being so angry and defending my daughter and having to prove, more or less, that she's not what society has labeled her to be.
Right.
So the best way to do that is to be proactive.
Good for you.
And we opened up a cupcake shop. Yeah. Why cupcakes? People are always asking me,
Why
cupcakes?
What's the relation with cupcakes and your daughter?
I love cupcakes, and I love my daughter.
Beautiful. And they're both sweet.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're both sweet. Good.
And both very unexpected. So yeah, so that's basically why we
there's more to cupcakes. There's the people who work there. Tell me about your employees.
Another thing was, again, in my research, I realized that there really isn't a lot of opportunity. And although Christina's sweet and adorable right now, you know, once she graduates from high school and you know, decides what she wants to do afterwards, opportunities are not there. They don't stay small forever. They do stay adults forever.
They do grow up.
They do grow up. So I started to, this is a platform. Basically, this is hopefully the beginning of many more businesses recognizing that opportunities are not there.
And so as a parent, you realize something, and instead of dreading, because unfortunately there are parents that, you know, I come across who are dreading, you took a stand and you created something that's not just for your child, but
for others.
For others as well.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, you meet a lot of parents, and they have all these concerns. If you're not proactive about something, you could be concerned the rest of your life. So you do have to make, you know, you can't just sit there and complain about everything. You have to be proactive and make that change. And the change I wanted to see was the outcome I wanted.
Right.
So you have to create it.
Now, so how long did it take you to come up with this creation?
Christina was about 3 months old when we decided that we needed to do something.
Okay.
And I started doing it from home for friends, family. I had one girl work with me, Taylor, met her at Fortinos, you know, and we became really good friends, and I told her mom about this, and we started doing it from home for about 4 years.
Wow, okay.
Always wanting a storefront. And here we are.
And Brampton is so excited to have you guys.
I have to say, I looked everywhere. I did. I don't want to mention what cities, but I did look everywhere. Always coming back to Brampton. I live in Brampton. You know, the kids are going to be raised in Brampton. And it has been, and it was effortless. I could tell you it was effortless to find our unit here in Brampton.
It was almost like it was just a gift that was brought to you.
I think so, and I believe in that. I believe that you have your time, everything's meant to be, just move forward with it.
And it's funny how I even met you was because, you know, for those of you who don't know, and thankfully there's people, you know, who watch the show and they reach out to me. Someone had sent me a tweet and they're like, you got to read this story. This is something you have to hear about. It's cupcakes. I love cupcakes. So obviously I'm going to tune into this story. And I called impulsively. I called. It was like 8:30. I'm like, hi, I'm from A Voice for All. You need to be on the show. And it turns out we know each other.
And ironically enough, our conversation too, when we first met, was always about where you worked, my daughter.
No clue.
Always about this.
Always about
Always
this.
about this.
No clue.
That whole thing about equality and opportunity. Yeah.
And when I connected with you, and I was like, if that's not.
Oh my gosh! And
something
I
that was
your voice. Right
yeah,
away.
and I was like, it's me, you know, the one, the bad back, and everything like that. But it all came so nicely, and from that point, so many people contacting me. You need to hear about this story. I'm like, I know the cupcake story. Everyone's told me about it, and that's why we had to have you on. And you know, the past 2 shows, we've talked a lot about Down syndrome. So happened to be that a lot of the guests were about Down syndrome, and the one question I asked those parents was, I'm sure you saw the Dear Future Mom commercial.
Yes.
What is your take on this Dear Future Mom? What do you say to Dear Future Moms out there?
First and foremost, there are no experts on Down syndrome. This is your child. You have now become the expert.
Right.
Don't believe everything that is written about your child's future, because nobody can predict that child's future. Nobody's child, for that matter. The only thing I would say is to get that whole medical thing out of the way, whether it be the heart condition, whatever is related with Down syndrome. But love your child like you would any other child, and know that this is a gift. I have 3 kids. I love them all the same. There is something unique about Christina, and there's a reason why she chose our family. So we respect that. We realize that she's a gift.
You celebrate it.
And it's a blessing.
Yeah,
it's
you
a true
celebrate
blessing.
it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I remember when we first talked, you told me that, you know, the doctors had such a negative prognosis for her future. What do you say to that?
I would love for them to come to the cupcake shop, because we have all ages working there. We have autism and Down syndrome working in...
So bridging, connecting, I like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, one thing I did realize is that I would be discriminating against so many other people who don't have the same opportunity if it was just Down syndrome. So we did open up our doors to many. Yeah.
And I'm sure there's so many families, because, you know, even when I was talking to my crew before the show, you know, someone asked, why don't they employ more people with disabilities? You know, and maybe you're starting a trend. Maybe,
I hope so.
You know, I don't see what's wrong with hiring people with disabilities. I actually went to a conference a couple months ago, and they were talking about, you know, youth unemployment and how we need to hire more youth. And I go, you know, there's one group you guys have failed to mention, and
Always
that's
overlooked.
people with disabilities. They're perfectly capable of working.
And the loyalty, the...
pride.
Oh, my God. You can't teach somebody that.
Yeah.
They are born with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So what do you see for Christina in the future? What do you see her
Well, I hope she wants to own a cupcake shop. But,
or take over.
Yeah. You know, I hope she, and she will. I don't hope. I know that she will know that she is representing a group of individuals that don't get a fair chance right from the start.
Yeah.
So having said that, she is going to be just as intelligent and smart and career-minded. She will want to be something.
She's learning from such a young age, right?
Yeah.
So that's a good insight
So
for her.
she's representing. Yeah.
Which leads me to say that, you know, you've started a movement of creating disability awareness. Do you find that our community in Peel is doing enough to promote disability awareness?
It's a great community. I have to say, right from the get-go, I mean, although we did have our, you know, confrontations here and there with people who just don't know enough, but unfortunately are in the field of being the first ones to tell you, and how they tell you is usually a personal experience. But it's very supportive. People coming from all over. I love how, so we're at here, Ontario, and Steeles, Ray Lawson. But there's people, I came all the way from the other side of Brampton. So,
it's true, though.
But they came. And they were so excited that there is something like this in Brampton. Because usually when you're watching a show or you're looking through a magazine, it's like, oh, Vancouver. You know, but it's Brampton.
And it's representing Brampton well, you know, and we're all trying to do our part to promote disability awareness. The movement that you're doing, the effect and the change that you're doing is I can't even explain it in words, you know.
Yeah,
I never knew that this was something when I met you all those times.
Yeah, well, I
that this is something
couldn't
that
tell
you'd be
you.
doing.
Yeah.
But really, like
Working on it.
I have to applaud
Yeah.
you on that, because there's so many families that I work with who have a child with Down syndrome, and they question, you know, what's my child going to do? I go, you don't question right now. You do not think 10 years
But
later. You take it, you know.
One day at a time.
One day at a time.
But I have to say, if you want your child to be successful, you truly want them to be successful, you have to support them.
Absolutely.
I see the ones that have more support at home, and then I see the ones that, unfortunately, their parents are following into that stereotypical, yeah, well, this is what it is.
This is what it is.
And it's Down syndrome.
And that's that.
And that's, yeah.
But really, when you watch things like Special Olympics,
Oh,
your
wow.
bakery,
Yeah.
everything like that, it inspires you. And if anything, I would hope that gives parents the confidence to go, my child could achieve, regardless of what disability their child may have.
Yeah, I had a mom come in. She's fairly young, which is unheard of, right? Because usually it's the older parent, but it's not anymore. So that too is something that doctors and the medical field have to revisit.
Absolutely.
Right? But she came in and she said to me, "How do you do it?" And I said, well, you know, I get support from my husband, and blah, blah. I thought, how do you do, like, having the business and having a home and stuff? She's like, no, not that. How do you accept that your child has Down syndrome?
Right.
No one's ever asked me that. I never thought it was something that I would have to accept. It is. Well, I said to her, I said, you know, your parents, they've supported you your entire life. And she says, yeah. Whatever decision you've made. Well, what if I told you that your child chose to have Down syndrome? That before he came to Earth, there's 2 suitcases, typical, and Down syndrome.
And you know what?
And then they choose you as parents.
And Mary has left us with a really good point in the sense of who chooses who.
Yeah.
You know? So thank you, Mary, so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Please support Mary's Cupcakes if you're a cupcake lover like myself. After the break, we'll have our local voice segment, and we have a family that you guys need to stay tuned in for. See you after the break. Christina's Tortina Shop, 17 Ray Lawson Boulevard. You could visit them at www.christinastortinashop.com. Hello and welcome back to A Voice for All. As you can see, I have a co-host. If any of you have ever been on my Jam Fam page or on my Twitter account, you have seen this beyond adorable girl, and she's actually my student at school. And her family is our local voice segment. I thought it'd be really good to portray a family on the show this evening, so I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. So this is Anjalique, her brother Sarik, and Papa. Big Daddy over here. Sarik, let's start off with you. Tell us how old you are.
9.
You're 9. And what school do you go to?
Massey Street.
Hi, Massey. You will shout out to Massey. Tell us, what's your favorite thing at school?
Science and basketball.
Science and basketball. Okay. Angelique's favorite things at school is gym, snack, music, gym, and snack. And more snack, especially her waffles. And I'm so excited to have you guys on the show, because I really thought it'd be great for the community to get a family's perspective, especially a dad's perspective on having a daughter with a disability. So how has this whole journey been for you, Mark, having Anjalique?
It's been every day is just a learning experience, you know, pretty much. From day one to right now. She's been she's taught the family on a whole a lot about being loving and caring and stuff like that, you know, and being patient.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, that has allowed us to develop better relationships, so to speak.
And when you got the news the first time, when you guys found out that there was a syndrome, how did you feel about that?
At first, because we didn't realize until she was around 2 going to 3.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
that's when she was diagnosed, because there wasn't really any significant like difference in how she's developing versus another child.
Right.
But then we noticed there was a growth on her right eye, and she stopped opening her eyes, and then we took her to the doctor for it to get checked out, and then they said it was glaucoma.
Wow.
So
At such a young age, too.
yeah, at such a young age. So we started to find out, okay, at such a young age, glaucoma, what's going on, and then we start to realize that her fingers were inwards, and
But I love her fingers.
and her toes were also overlapped.
Yeah.
So we started to just go to different family physicians, and Dr. Pearl, who's her doctor, discovered that she could be a case for Rubenstein Taybi.
And for those of you who do not know what her syndrome is, there is information below. It's a rare syndrome, is it
Very rare.
not?
Very rare, extremely rare.
And that's another reason, too, on top of having you guys to share your own personal stories, I'm trying to create more awareness for syndromes like Anjalique's, just because it's not like she has, say, Down syndrome or autism, and there's support groups. Do you know of any other families in our community that have this?
Absolutely none.
None.
Yeah, the closest I've got information from is a group in Vancouver, and they're a very small group. And in the States, they're not even that big either.
Wow.
They're like little pockets of groups that have been formulated together, and that's it. It's been not much information right now.
So, Sarik, how does this, I know you're young and you're 9, but how does it make you feel having a sister with a disability? How do you see Anjalique? Do you see her as somebody different, or do you see her as your sister?
My sister.
Yeah, what do you guys do together at home?
We play, we watch TV together, and sometimes she plays play wrestle with me.
Oh, she loves to play wrestle with you, huh? Does she take over your TV?
Yes, every day.
Every day. And what's her favorite shows to watch?
My Big Friend.
That's the main show? What about Soupy and Beanie? Does she still like that one? Does she still watch that show?
Not often.
Not often. So you guys go to the same school. Do your friends ever ask you about your sister? Why doesn't she talk, or why does she walk the way that she does? Do they ask you things like that?
No.
No, that's good. That's good. And if somebody did ask you a question like that, what would you say to them?
I would tell them that she's going to surgery for it, and obviously her toe is fixed, so she could walk normal. That's what they asked about, and pretty much that, and that's it.
What do you see your sister doing when she grows up?
I see her at least not with the eye that she has.
So the surgery you think is going to help her? And Dad, with the surgeries, how many surgeries has Anjalique had in the past? I'm going to go, let's say 2 years. The 2 years that 2-3 years I've known her, I've lost count of how many surgeries she's had.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if I'm going to be exact either, but she has had at least 15 surgeries. Yeah, total amount of surgeries.
And
yeah.
part of the syndrome, it's the thumbs?
Yeah, the syndrome, what we're finding out is that each child is going to be different. And after she turns 7, that's when you're able to more like pinpoint what her disabilities are going to really be. Because at such a young age, it's all, what I was told, it's almost like autism. Autism hits you in different forms, like levels of it. Some will have it mild, extreme. That's the same thing with Rubenstein Taybi. So she can have it mildly, or on an intermediate level or what have you, but we can't find it out until she's after 7.
Okay.
So after 7, then she'll start to illustrate how severe she has it.
Wow. And even knowing that news as a parent, like how does that make you feel when you know that, okay, the worst is technically, say, yet to come?
Well, basically, I thank God for one that we're in Canada and we got sick kids. Sick kids have been really supportive, and without sick kids, I don't know if we would be here. We'd probably have to travel to a different country just to get, one eye exam or something like that. And so far, she has done several surgeries.
I know. I think this year's been how many? Like 2 or 3 this year alone?
She did 3 this year.
3 this year.
3,
And then
yes.
2 or 3 last year.
Yes, yes.
Now, with your family, I know there's a lot of families in our community who they don't have a supportive family. When they have a child with a disability, sometimes families are like, you know, reluctant to be involved in the child's life. How has your family been with Anjalique?
Thank God we've got a lot of support from various forms of the community, including yourself, which has been a great help. And she is bond. The thing about her is that I'm not sure if it's a syndrome or that's her personality. If she likes you, she likes you.
It's her personality,
And
I
if
think.
she doesn't like you, she doesn't like you. That's it's not an in-between.
And I really like that you brought up that point, because there's a misconception out there that nonverbal children, because Anjalique is nonverbal, that they don't have a personality.
No,
that
she
they,
does.
This child has sass.
Yeah, she does.
Okay, she has sass, she has charisma, she lets you know when she doesn't like something. And right now, she's through her body language, she's communicating to me, I want to get up, I want to move. But she's actually doing a really good job sitting. And for anybody out there who, you know, you're walking down the street and you might see a child like Anjalique, please withhold your looks. You know, you treat her like any other child. You will smile with her, you will greet her, and you know that if you took 5 minutes to get to know who she is, there is an amazing child in here. And I've worked with her for the past 3 years. She has made me grow into the educator that I am now. The relationship I have with the family, like I almost consider you guys like family, you know?
Yeah.
And Sariq, you are such a good big brother. Such a good big brother. Sometimes at school, Anjalique and I, we wander through the hallway, which we shouldn't be doing, but we wander through the hallway, and we stop by Sariq's classroom. And what does Anjalique come and do when she comes in your classroom?
She hangs off my head.
Yeah. And sometimes she gives you a hug. Sometimes she'll give you a hug, or she'll give you a little kiss or something like that. But we know, just because Anjalique doesn't have the words, that doesn't mean that there's not someone in here that the world needs to get to know. So I encourage other families out there, if you have a child who's nonverbal, your child also has a voice. You don't need words to have a voice. If I was to take out my phone or my tablet right now and let you see how Anjalique maneuvers through it, you guys see how she is with technology. She's a little, she's like a genius with technology. She's going through it. She knows how to get to videos. Please do not underestimate the capabilities of a child who's nonverbal, of a child who has a disability, because there is a lot. And if you have a child or a relative, I would love to hear about them. You know, send me your stories. Let their voices and their journeys be shared with others. I would love to connect with more families. And having you guys on the show, you have no idea how much this means to me, because Anjalique means so much to me. I sometimes say, why do I need to have a daughter? I have my little Anjalique. Anjalique, can you say hi to everybody? Can you say hi? Can you say hi to everyone on the camera? Can you blow them a kiss? Mwah. Can you blow them a kiss? Show them how you blow kisses. Mwah. And for those of you who ever like to send in a gift to A Voice for All, Anjalique enjoys Rice Krispie squares. Her current obsession is waffles. Once again, she's nonverbal, but look, I know what her interests are, so please, I encourage you to continue to watch A Voice for All, hear stories like Mark, Sariq's, and Anjalique's. They deserve to be heard. Your story deserves to be heard. I will catch you guys next week. I always encourage you to send your messages, your emails, your tweets. Please join the Facebook group. Lots of other parents and community workers out there who you could also interact and connect with. This has been A Voice for All, and I'll catch you guys next week. Good.